right there. Here.
Cool.
You're live. Yep. All right, you're live. You're live, Mom.
Grab your microphone.
What's up, guys?
We're live?
Yep, everything's good.
We're live.
My first, I don't know what I'm gonna do now that I'm not switching the phone. I don't know, maybe I can just switch the anyway, because normally I'm switching, and I think people think I'm on the phone just thinking around.
It does look a little bit like
That's okay. I'm alright with it.
distracted.
Don't do that. Don't hit the camera. So topic today: idle hands or the devil's workshop. What kids do over the summer, and how it has negative effects in the school year.
School is out.
Do you care about school grades? I don't care about them, like at all.
I really care about them.
It has zero. We have 40 summer coaches. I haven't looked at one resume, and I have no idea what their education level is. And I can tell you just based on talking to them, like I don't care about their education at all.
Well, the thing is with education and grade point average,
Oh God.
I look at that for kids, my own kids and other kids, is it's about discipline and habits. Like,
Sure.
how much does it translate? It's such a scam. It's such a hustle in a business, especially when you get into college.
Especially when you're in college.
Yeah, but do you have the discipline to do homework and do what's necessary to complete a task when somebody gives it to you?
Effort, yeah. It's to me, it's all about effort, right? Like if you're putting in the effort, then fine, you know. But effort doesn't always equal like output. Case in point, right? Yeah. I mean, let's apply it to a jiu-jitsu competition. A lot of our guys work hard,
Yeah.
and they can get knocked out first round.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't for lack of effort, right? It
Yeah.
was just they got outperformed, right? If you've got, I know, you know Finley as well. Their kid, he's going in 6th grade. He's got a 2nd grade reading level. It's not because he's not trying, you know. It's just like the effort's there, but
Yeah.
a lot of adults I talk to, you know, they say I've had people tell me they think I use an elevated vocabulary to make myself sound smarter, and I'm like,
Which you should.
what? No, I like there. In fact, there was a research that says like when you're writing a paper, the more complicated your vocabulary is, the less the message gets through, because it's just over most people's heads. They have like an average like. Do we have a gym? Coach Keanu, are you allowed to Google things on ChatGPT? Like,
Absolutely.
Would that be too much for you?
No, I can do that.
So while I'm just gonna, because it might, if you're on your tablet, just look at the screen, because it might click off.
It did do that.
Yeah. So.
Well, I can do my
maybe
phone.
On your phone. What is the average reading level in America?
Hold on, making sure our image comes back. We've lost image.
You need me to have pop over there?
I think I got it. Give me 1 second.
Can we screen share to the big TV?
No.
Yeah, Coach, can you hop over here real quick?
Yeah, I'll hop over. I just want to say that as a Jiu-Jitsu Academy owner, personal win is we have a Coach Keanu.
Well, that's very
a win.
nice.
Like I think we made it, right?
You want to hear something cool?
Let me go hop and set this
Coach
up.
Yeah.
Keanu, the cool Coach Keanu, is from South Africa.
We just lost our.
That's okay. So we're still live, and what you got to do is go back up to the here, and then choose multicam again. So now it's gonna be back on your tablet, and it'll be back.
A couple stats that we ran into is why when kids don't have structure during the.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. What is the ChatGPT question?
Average reading level in America.
Is red means that this one's.
That's the one you're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one you're looking at.
Yeah. So one of the stats that we ran into is what happens during the summer. Okay. Kids are off school. They cannot wait until the summertime gets here. So during the summer, only like 10 to 15 out of 1,000 kids get the recommended amount of sleep.
What's the recommended amount of sleep for?
I mean, that's debatable, but I think it's like 7 to 8 hours.
What are they doing if they're not sleeping? Are they just waking up early?
Well, if they're in my house and they stay awake, they're staying up late, and then dad's kicking the door down and saying, get outside and do some yard work.
So well, your kids are older though, right? Yeah, I mean your kids are. I guess that's true. Your kids are of working age. I don't know. My standard has changed, man. So Scarlett is, shoot, how old is she? She's 9, right?
9 years old.
Scarlett's 9, but I don't have her. She's a big helper inside, but like if you try to have her do stuff on the outside, like it's not gonna go great. You'd think I'd ask her a lot, but your kids are all like adults practically.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, how many are actually adults? 'Cause I just realized Rand's 18. That's incredible.
Yeah, just graduated high school.
So they're up till 2 or 3 a.m. doing what? Because you guys stay up late anyway.
Kids stay up late, man.
You're up late though. I know like dude.
I'm doing better.
You know
I'm
how many
doing
times
better.
I've gotten I've seen a Facebook post or a Google My Business post go live at 2 a.m. and I was like, yeah, I'm scrolling through his phone again, just to mass uploading pictures. I was like, what? I'm not gonna be mad about getting social media or I'm on the members page. You'll be like, guys, tomorrow's geek class, and I wake up I'm getting the kids ready for school, and I'm like, what? This was at 2 a.m. Well, who's up at 2 a.m.? But you guys are up that late anyway, though.
Yeah, we have a big family, and even the kids, they have jobs, they're doing interns, and they're in school, so they're as adults are starting to see what it feels like to have multiple moving pieces going on in their life, and sometimes you got to stay awake to get caught up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, how much sleep are they getting on average? Your kids?
7 hours, but 7 hours is plenty. But 7 hours if you're up at 2 or till 2 or 3, and then you're waking up late, it's not the same type of 7 hours.
Sure. Why wouldn't it be?
If you go to sleep at 2, 3 o'clock and
7 hours, dog.
Is that what you're? I'm curious because I know you did some research and you followed these sleep doctors.
No, it's why would it be any different? The only thing I would say that might make a difference is let's say you somehow the light affects your sleep, right? But if your room and the sun comes up at 7 a.m. or whatever, now that's affecting your sleep. If you're getting 7 hours of sleep, people just have different sleep, circadian rhythms too.
I would definitely have to look that one up, but I don't believe 7 hours is 7 hours. I think if you're up till 4 or 5 and then you sleep 7 hours,
well, it's personal too, right? So that was Sawola, he pisses me off, right? You know how he's
up at 4 o'clock in the
every
morning.
day, and no questions. Whenever he and I will just kick it, after class or whatever, and I always I'm trying to be mindful of how late I keep him. Dude, sometimes I'll keep him at the gym. We're just talking, wrestling or this move, and he's leaving HQ at 9:30. So I know he's got an hour drive home. So best case he's in bed at 10:30, and he's up at 4.
And he's got a family to go home
He's
to.
moving weight at 4:30, and I'm like, dude. So I'm try to keep up with him. If I don't get 6 hours, might as well go back to bed. Legitimately. There's no point in me even waking up because I've got so much brain fog that I'm in bed. But with your kids, the only thing I will say is it depends what they have to do the next day. If they're doing yard work, bro, you better be up at 7. Because now you're in the heat of the day, you're literally losing daylight, so you better be up at 7. But what are some things that you do with your kids, and then what are some comparatively to what your summers used to look like as a child? Because I had a long conversation with the dude yesterday about summer camps. Two different types of summer camps though. So what are your kids' summers look like, and then what did your summer look like?
So I'm trying my best as a parent to replicate as much of how we lived as kids, 20, 30 plus years ago. I'm absolutely trying my best. And if my kids, and which is what we teach at Metro Jiu-Jitsu, if they don't wake up and have a task and have a job, then you're basically, it's like you're unemployed, you know,
So
a job and a task.
okay, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you. But you're talking to someone. Well, let's start with what your summers look like. Like Mia's raising you, okay,
Yeah.
and your uncles.
Yeah.
And
At what age?
Well, whatever. 10. Let's start 10. 10 to 16. We'll do 10, and then we'll do 16.
So at 10 years old, we during the summer, we would wake up and leave the house to find something to do.
Do what?
Well, like as far as the leisure time,
Sure.
the park, who's playing what sports, what
Okay.
outdoor activities are we doing, and by the time kids wake up and we get out there, like we are looking for something to do, looking for games, who's playing.
So you're looking for game as a kid. You're looking to.
Yeah,
Like that's leisure.
we're looking for groups of kids to kind of like go hang out. And it's funny because even at 10 years old, if we didn't find ourselves playing, literally, if we didn't find ourselves playing sports or doing any type of like structured or semi-structured activities.
And this would so 10 would have been 80s. In the
Yeah.
80s? Okay.
Yeah, if we didn't find ourselves doing those kind of sports, we literally would be like groups of kids walking around looking for trouble. Look, like we didn't, I don't think that was the intent, but
Yeah.
like if you have nothing to do, we would always find a way to get into something that we're not supposed to be doing.
What's an example? At 10 years old, like at 10 years old, how much trouble you actually get into? Like are you vandalizing stuff? I guess you could spray paint stuff. Like that's.
I mean, like, so we lived near Ford Motor Company,
Okay.
and back then there was a lot of buildings in my neighborhood that kind of like were sold or shut down or abandoned. So if we're walking by them, we would try to get, what is this building? What's in here?
Commercial building.
Yeah, commercial.
That's urban exploring, man.
Yeah, we would walk over to the border of Ford Motor Company and see like their operations, and we would kind of get closer and closer, and then kind of jump the fence and just to go see what the heck's going on.
I'm picturing like you guys like Roger and Angels in the outfield, like just walking around. Like you're trying to like pop your head over like you're watching the baseball game over the fence, and then they like yell at you to beat it. Like that's kind of that's what I'm picturing. But even that, like, so someone could argue you're like, I want the kids to wake up and have a purpose for the day. I mean, that's just like you're just playing. I think I think the definition needs to be one. I think the definition of purpose needs to be defined, and it should also be reevaluated in socially, right? Because like in the 80s, if we were having this conversation in the 80s, then all of the old timers from the 50s are like, oh, when I was 10, I was like packing lead to support the troops over in Normandy. Like, what were you doing? Like, so like I think every generation thinks that they were stronger than the current generation. And it's just you have to set the you have to set the expectation a little bit too.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and I think they were. They definitely were. Like the previous generation, your father's generation, my mom, and that time, they were tougher, stronger, harder working.
Yeah.
They like, it was about like survival. There wasn't as many handouts back then as there was today. Like you had to get out there and just hustle and grind.
The landscape is a little different though.
Yeah.
Like did you know? Like I think we covered this last week. Did you know that I had no idea just how predatory student loans were? So we have a family in our church. They're taking the financial peace family in our gym. They're taking a financial peace university, and she's been paying on her student loans for 8 years. Follow? Mm-hmm. She owes more now than when she started.
Because of the interest?
Because of the interest. Yeah. And so that shouldn't be a thing. Like that should never. One, you're offering, and here's my like balance with it.
That makes me sick.
On the one side of my brain, you've got like 18. I'm not gonna call you a child. I'm not, because you're 18 years old. The fact that you have been coddled up until that point, and haven't been given real responsibility of adulthood is, I think, a shortcoming of society, culture, and your parents. But you also haven't had experience in making decisions. Like, you were just told, unless you want to be the janitor, which, yeah, good luck. Get a quote, get a cleaning quote, and then let's still make fun of janitors, right? But like, unless you want to be the janitor, you're going to need to go to college to learn about, equestrian art history and get a major in that. Like that is not. So that was, they were told, they were sold a lie, and it was a bill of goods backed by the federal government and pushed in every high school in America. So now and I struggle with this too, because my kids, Landon's probably out there right now on a tablet, right? Like I can't, look at him blocked, right? He's probably on a tablet. But what world do we see them living in 20 years? This entire, look at this freaking room. Look at how many devices how much electronic crap do we have in this room right now? And it's like, well, I don't want my kids on technology. If they're gonna do something like this, then they should be. I think they should be it's both pros and cons. I think a little bit too, and that's where I have to restructure my expectation of. She may not be able to work. My kids may not be able to work a shovel, or a pickaxe, or a wheelbarrow the way I did or could. But do they have the problem-solving skill to get the job done a little bit with that? So, what are your thoughts on screen time for kids? Do you think because we have almost 200 kids sign up for summer camp across three locations, and parents are like, I want less screen time, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I don't know if it's as bad as people are making it out to be. Truthfully, depending.
What?
I don't know if it's as.
I can't believe he just said that.
I don't know if it's as bad as people are making it out to be. It's like, what are you doing on screen time? If you are learning how to, if you are, how much stuff I've learned off YouTube, like construction stuff that we've done here, that I've learned off of YouTube. You know how many of our members, it's screen time. Studying ecological approach to jiu-jitsu, it's screen time, it's study. So it's like screen time inherently. It's this. I'm knocking all types of hard. But if you're like, oh boy, there we go. If you're like, yeah, let me just go down a rabbit hole of I think there's more than two genders. Then yeah, screen time's a really bad idea. But if you're actually studying on how improving your skills. Deeper questions of hey, where did we come from? It's a tool like anything else. I believe it's amoral, with the exception of maybe AI, which we can get into.
Yeah, it's a tool definitely, but if you give a tool to a kid who doesn't know how to use it in its proper capacity, then they're going to hurt themselves with it. And I think that is the problem with the screen time is. There's so much great information out there. And, from business to construction, people understand in order to capture a customer or a following, you got to add value. There's so much value on the internet now, but you have to be very, very disciplined in what you're looking for, because you and I know the algorithm is, it'll essentially show you where your brain is thinking. Yeah. And at all times, it's trying to guide you to somewhere else. It'll pop up something else to see if
some random thing. Yeah.
So, I'll say this. There's a, so you did a course on leadership for kids.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started. We did it for a while. We did it for several months. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you even had kids you gave them a task on starting a business or trying to make X amount of dollars.
Making money, yeah.
Yeah, so...
one made $500 in a week.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if kids do not have something to do, we know that they're just going to fall into trouble and waste time. But here's my thing. Mm-hmm. my philosophy, because if you give your son or daughter chores, and this is what we talk to our parents about in our program, you can give your son or daughter a chore to say, hey, take out the trash, clean up the garage in this area, pick up a couple items around the outside of the house, and, a couple more things around the house. I think we both know that probably 99% of the time, unless you have major leverage, it's not going to get done properly. But yeah, that's my experience. So as a parent and as a teacher, this is where we use the times that we're in to go back and start to talk about accountability and responsibility with patience and say, hey, you're supposed to clean behind the garbage cans or wash them out. You actually missed this portion of the house, and this wasn't done. Let's go. You had to do this task, and I told you could do whatever you want or go whatever you want. But I think we give up too easily, especially in the summer, because we think we have all of this time we think summer lasts forever.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it later. We'll do it tomorrow. It's a nice day out. And that is where parents and kids fall into some very, very serious programming of time and emotional development that carries over into the school year.
Dude, my dad would give us like grown man tasks just to because he firmly believed that like idle hands were the devil's workshop. But here's the thing, he would give us shit to do with no training, just to like do it. And in hindsight, it was busy work. Like one was, I'm gonna call it, if I say a yard of gravel, you know how much the gravel that is?
That's very heavy.
3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. So a cubic yard of gravel.
Yeah.
Right? But there's probably like 2 cubic yards. So 6 by 6. Big pile.
I just had to unload that.
Yeah,
myself.
and he's like rake this out, separate the dirt from the rocks.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then then wheelbarrow them, and I'm probably like 11, right? I'm 11.
Oh,
and
I love it.
And then
I love it.
Yeah, well, okay. And then so no training, right? No like here's how you do this, no coming alongside. And then followed by a lot of like screaming and consequences and week-long ground. Like if we ever went over to our friend's house, it was you were deemed like just pretty much worthless, right? Because you want to go spend time with your friends. That's certainly one extreme. Another extreme, like I can say to my my kids, they have they get an allowance, and I've talked about this before. They get an allowance because I don't want the dad guilt of like if they want some shit. Like Landon went to the zoo with his on a field trip with his class the other day. He's like, "Can we stop at the gift shop?" I was like, "Sure." I mean, you got money. I'm not giving you any money. Whatever, however much money you got is what you got. And they're kind of Jewish, so they have a lot of money. They don't like to spend it. They just like to have it. Be like, I could spend it. It's like, all right, that's $25. That's a $25 red panda. Like if you want it. And then he's like, no, I'm good. Okay. And so like they'll just so they hang on to it, but they if it's not done to standard. Amanda actually changed it, bro. She's got harsher. It used to be they would lose it per diem, right? So like I think they get $15 a week. They would lose it like if you did one chore wrong, not to spec, you lost it that day. Now if they do one chore wrong, not to spec, they lose it for the week. Because Amanda's setting it up for, and you could say like, oh well, they're getting a.
Well, do they get any like training before you release them and start to dock their pay on how to do these tasks?
They know. Hey, Landon, come here, buddy. Oh, perfect timing. Come here. Come around here, buddy. Don't step on any cords. All right. We're gonna be leaving in a little bit. Hey, I actually want to talk to you though, real quick. Okay? We're talking about your chores. What are some of your chores that you do? What are the chores that you do every day?
Landon does chores around the house?
Yeah. He does chores. He does chores around our house. What are some of your chores? Open the what? You gotta open the what? Am I putting you on the spot? You don't know what to do with all this tech in here, do you? And you have to clean. Open the blinds and clean up Lucy's what? you love that chore. Clean up Lucy's what?
You have to clean up poop.
Yeah, you gotta clean up Lucy's poop, and you gotta go get it right when she goes. Otherwise, you step in the pile, right? So, and hey, how much money do you have right now saved up for goodies? Do you know how much money you have right now? No. I think last you checked, you're like $110.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You got all that money?
Yeah. What are you saving up money for?
Disney.
You're saving up money for Disney stuff, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We're gonna be leaving pretty soon, okay? And then you know what I think we can get for lunch?
What?
Some Chick-fil-A. Is that okay with you? Are you gonna buy or am I gonna buy?
Landon.
Sounds like I'm buying, huh?
Landon,
Coach Mo's asking you something.
do you have enough money for Chick-fil-A?
You gonna buy his Chick-fil-A? All right. I'll tell you what, bud. If you're not gonna talk, then I'm gonna talk. But I need you to get out. We'll be leaving here in just a little bit, okay? Hey. Do me a favor, stay outside, all right? Thank you, bud. Yeah. So So I mean, they know how to do it, and they've been doing that for a while. His chores, when I say chores, it's simple. It's not landscaping. He's not moving yards of gravel. He's got to open the blinds. He's got to clean the table after each time. He's got to sweep the floor. He's got to vacuum. He's got to clean up dog poop. Like Scarlett does the dishes. She, it's part of it. Buddy, we got to stay out, okay? We got to stay out, buddy, all right?
Is it almost lunch?
30 minutes, okay?
Is it almost lunch?
30 minutes, okay?
So, parents parents with children from like 5 to 12, they 90% of parents that come into any sports or organized sports or activity believe that their child is above where they're supposed to be in certain areas.
I don't know if how can you possibly believe that?
Well, that's what parents think. And statistics and
That
studies
is
have
crazy.
showed, including our assessment when kids come in for our program, 40% actually are. Like 40%, you can call them like he's better either physically or socially or emotionally or verbally than they really are. So parents have this misconception of thinking that their kids are well above where they're supposed to be for their age. And I think
Who's possibly thinking that?
This is a statistic I pulled up.
In any category? Read it. What does it say? 90% of parents think their kids are above average in what category?
above their
Weight?
grade level. No, above their grade level, or call it academically. And the gap of only 44% are actually increases after unstructured summer activities. So only 40% are actually above where they're supposed to be academically. And I would challenge that and like to add from our personal data at Metro Jiu-Jitsu that
I don't care about academic. I don't care about it. So like, because here's my thing. Like academically, what? Framing a sentence. Like Scarlett can outline a sentence way better than you know how to outline a sentence, Coach Cano. Before I answer this.
Outline a sentence?
Yeah. Do you know how to do that?
When I feel like I'm being cornered.
Do you know how to? I don't know how to outline a sentence.
outline a sentence.
Outline a sentence.
Chat GBT.
Yeah.
How do you
Okay.
outline a sentence?
Oh, so you're gonna use tech. Oh, you're gonna use tech to outline a sentence. All right. So Scarlett can outline a sentence way better. She asked me for help with her homework, and I was like, honey, I can't help you with this. I'm sorry. And so I don't care about academic, because case in point, if I don't know something, we're in the information age. What we're lacking, what people and children and their parents are lacking a lot is social IQ. Social IQ, emotional IQ. That's really tough to learn. And I believe you learn that through just being together with kids.
Yeah.
That is one thing where I think there's a benefit of screen time, learn how to, whatever. Boom, throw it in a lockbox, go outside and play together.
Yeah.
And so there's value to. I think there's value to both of those things. It's really J.K. Rowling actually said, the easy path, and I'm paraphrasing. The easy path is a black or white path. When in reality, a lot of times we have to navigate within the gray, and that's something that kind of challenged me, because especially my religious background, it tends to be pretty black and white. But there are certainly gray areas in fields, and I think it's both, right? I don't care about academics, because if you're coachable, I mean, unless you are just Nancy doesn't like when I use the R word anymore, so I'll stop using it. But unless you're just unless you're retarded, right? Like unless you're like really unless you're really dead, which was cool to use when I was coming up. Apparently, it's not anymore.
That's not a nice word.
Yeah, like unless you're really thick.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, coach, I want to learn this. I'll teach you. The teachable spirit's all we need. Okay, that's all we need. Like we show you how to do just about anything. Right? It might take some time. But if you have the entitlement, you're like, well, I deserve X, and I have no real skills. That's a different problem. And so I really think there's a benefit to both. Have you ever sent your kids to an away camp, overnight camp?
Yes.
Yeah. What was your experience like? Would you recommend it?
Well, I would. It was a religious camp.
Sure.
And my wife went.
Sure.
So even then, even it being like a religious camp through the mosque, it was fun. They had a great time. But we would have to go. Like we
So
would.
you wouldn't send them without. You wouldn't send them on. Did Nancy chaperone your child's group?
No. But she was one of the
She was a chaperone.
counselors or
Yeah.
chaperones or organizers. So, but yeah, they have gone multiple times. And
Scarlett's going to one this year.
I would challenge anybody who wants to develop their children.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about an overnight camp. If you want to get the most or the best out of the camp, you need to go. If you want to get the best or the most out of some type of athletic training, you should be training. If you want to get the best, the most out of your kids' soccer program or jiu-jitsu program, you should be training also. And so we have sent them, and we've participated, and now my kids are old enough to go on their own as camp counselors, multiple of them.
Walk me through that. Like if they're to get your kid, because walk me through the whole. So I went to away camps. I think my parents it was like one less kid, but I had to earn my. I had to work for my church offered a. It was like in the 90s. It was several $100s a week. So
Poor David,
Yeah,
one less
so-
kid.
so-
I feel so bad that they did that. I got to have a talk with your mom and dad when I see them.
man, the 5 kids and like none of them were easy, right? None of them were easy, but it
Then
was.
you owe them today.
Yeah, dude. I know what they went through, but it was like several $100s a week in the 90s. So like $900 a week camp. So I had to work. They had work camps that we would go and like we would. Case in point, here I am in the church parking lot spray painting parking lines. And like actual work, not like non-work. And but like we went away. There was our parents weren't there, and is that Muhammad? I'm hearing something.
Trying to monitor.
Oh, I got you. I just thought I thought it was a doppelganger, Muhammad, that I should pay attention to.
There's a slight delay, but I'm just monitoring it.
I got it. Okay. And so I think but there was no kids, or there was no adults there. And so like you literally, and one time they sent me to like a military camp. It was called spiritual warfare camp. Dude, it was boot camp. It was boot camp for a week, which is tough as a chubby 7th grader. Like as a 200-pound 7th grader, that sucked. Like it really sucked. But it was, I think there's this, I got to pull it up. The author wrote Irreversible Damage, and it's about the trans movement, and she's got a couple books about the gender identity crisis, and the whole line of it is the theme of parenting today is you need parents there because your child is not possibly strong enough to operate without you.
Absolutely.
Vehemently disagree. I firmly I disagree with it. Fundamentally, I disagree with it. Like I think there's you need to protect from, obviously as a protector spirit. I disagree with the concept of it's a very scary thing to send kids out. It's terrifying, I had to talk Amanda into this camp. She's like the awake. She's like, no, what? Because you watch these Netflix documentaries and kids getting raped and these sexual assault cases, and it comes out 20 years later. Another Christian contemporary artist accused that wasn't minors, but like accused of sexual assault 20 years ago, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a big one. This is Michael Tate, right? And so you have these things, and you're like, well, the world is scary. You just stay by me. And what you're telling the kids is, you are not possible. It's way too scary of a world out there for you without me. You need to stay under me. And so you have these kids, they just can't operate. They cannot operate outside of their parent. And
Well-
that's the landscape we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, well, I disagree with you.
Yeah. Sure.
And I'll give you my personal philosophy. When my son was younger, we would go to this mail place, and we would go in. We had a P.O. box, and we'd pick up our mail. And we would pull up to the front, walk in. I would walk in with my son, pick up the mail, say hello, whatever, how are you? And I was kind of teaching my son how to stay on point. You're going to come in here, picking up your stuff, say hello or hi. Anything outside of that is not necessary, And so we did that for a little while. And at 4 years old, there did come a point when I was comfortable that every time I'd walk in there with my son, like the littlest things that you're going to run into with your kids. Okay, Baba, did you notice this about that guy? Did you notice a guy walk in, or, the conversation with this person? And you kind of teaching them about that interaction. So at 4 years old, we got to a point where I would pull up in front. He would walk in, and anything outside of the norm that happens, he would know, actually, this is a red flag. So I disagree, because kids need lots and lots of lessons at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even into their teenage years. So obviously we're going to give them a lot more freedom and flexibility and autonomy, and that's the time when they're going to let them make a little bit some more mistakes and things like that. But I think that kids have to have a you have to put them on. We have to give them a compass to follow, or like a track. If things go off track, there's some red flags here or there.
Sure. Yeah.
So, so sending kids away to camp, I think, is a good thing. But
We're stoked about it. I'm stoked about it. I don't know about Amanda.
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing I am for. If there was a military camp, or there was a physical camp, I don't care if it's digging ditches or breaking rocks, I'm all about that.
Like a prison camp?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like that, I'm all about, and I'm support it, because it is what it is. You're going to,
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a really. I mean, we can get them there. Just commit a couple felonies, they'll end up there. I guess.
How many parents do you think would do something like that? Say, hey, this is a camp. It's a physical.
So there is a military camp. You can find a military camp. You can send them away to boarding school. I wouldn't. See, I like the discipline of the military. And I was talking. Coach Jay just re-enlisted.
Coach
Jay just re-enlisted. And
really?
Yeah, I think I like the.
I think he needs that.
I have a deep distrust for I don't like. So one, I guess I understood this, but you give up your rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't leave. It's you leave, you go AWOL, you're a criminal. You can't be like, God, this is not for me, I'm gone. You're a criminal now if you leave, right? If you go AWOL. And that's more trust than I care to put it. So when, Commander-in-Chief sends me to Ukraine or Israel or Afghanistan or Egypt or Russia or China or whichever enemy. There's this song, don't play it around kids. It's called This Is War. And it's I drove in a car, I flew in a plane to storm in your house and blow your head off because the TV told me to. That is I have a pretty large distrust in the government. And so while I respect, vehemently support the military, my father was a Marine, I wouldn't feel great putting myself under the control of somebody in powers that be. One, I've never met. Two, whose motives I don't trust, to do that. But the discipline that comes from boot camp, there's a boot camp, a kid's boot camp, probably in the state that you could send them to. But as far as the programming of because a lot of times they're precursors to that military camp. It was a precursor to signing up for the military. It's see, you could now have a purpose. but the purpose is to meet someone else's malicious or evil ends, which I am again. I'm a little against. Like I'm not quite there to send my kids there yet. I agree with the discipline aspect of it, but I'm not quite there yet, man.
I think today anybody who enlists in the military, and I mean even going back years, like you're going to hold the expectations of your peer group, and today probably more than ever, people don't have the discipline to do the right thing every day, to go to work,
Sure.
to live a structured life. And they know when you go to the military, I think everybody knows you give everything up. You got
Yeah.
people yelling and,
Yeah.
yelling and spitting at you and just they're calling you like names and kind of breaking you down and building you back up. Some people,
Yeah.
they actually need that because they don't have a starting point and they don't know how to say, let me build my foundation of who I am as a person, grow personally, physically, and they need somebody to like, kind of get them on track. And for some people, that's their calling, and other people are like, I did it. It was my little wake-up call, but
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need to go back.
Yeah, no, Jay's all in on it, and talking to him, like we, I shared that post of that kid who effectively stole 2 months of training from his old gym, tried to come train with us, and I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work, dog. And everyone got on my case. This kid's 18 years old. He's just a kid. You should have been softer with him. I was like, clearly he's had enough soft people in his life. I'm the one who's gonna stop him and be like, not a fucking chance, bro. Go back to your gym, pay your dues there. Go somewhere else. I don't care. And Coach Jay was like, yeah. He's like the sentiment of he's a Marine. He's like the sentiment of the expectations. He's like, you're not a kid. You're a man, and you're a man who stole from. You're a man who stole from someone, and those expectations I think are a little. Nothing is really expected of people, like if you say someone at 21 years old, is that a kid to you?
No.
You're alone. You're in the minority. Someone's 20. I obviously agree, but like you're like, hey, at 21, you're living in you're living with your folks because you're going to school. Nothing's really expected of you as a career contributing to the gross domestic product till like 25, 26.
Yeah.
When did that happen? And like that's normal. That's normal, So like you're a third of the way through your life before you're like, I'm gonna start contributing to society. Like you do a barista thing. I'm speaking of the macro. The majority of people, like it's not hard to find a 24-year-old and they're working at fast food or working at this. Some of these guys are in the trades. They're actually building the infrastructure, which is great, but not many of them. I talked to Mike Drain, pipe fitter. The youngest guy in his crew is like 35.
Wow. What should it be if you start out?
I think you could start. You should be able. I think it'd be great if you could have if you could start an internship at 16, a carpentry internship at 16.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic. Because then by the time you're out of high school, look at the Amish is a great example. They stop schooling at like 7th grade or 8th grade. They're done. You've had enough.
Wow.
Now you're going to join the workforce at 8th grade. And everyone knows, like, Amish are known for, like, their craftsmanship. And these are 8th grade.
They're good at it, too.
These are 8th grade guys without power tools.
Wow.
They have pneumatic tools, right? But, like, they're 8th grade guys, and they're building a barn. And we're like, that's incredible. Well, that's what happens when you don't, like, when you set the expectation. They all know in 8th grade. Like, their final maturity of entrance into adulthood is just fast-tracked to 8th grade. Not 4 years at MSU to get a fine arts degree or an MBA or whatever the hell, Bringing it back to topic of you're talking about kids for the summer. What would you like a practical schedule for your kids to be? Your kids are older, so we'll start with yours. But like kids in general, what would you like? Because I think your agenda of from the 80s is a little. We could modify it to modern times with everything we got going on. But what do you think would be a really productive, some practical steps you would give a couple parents of like, hey, I think, maybe we could do A, B, or C, or a standard week. What would that look like?
Daily tasks, like literally daily tasks. And I am Like my personal philosophy is give them less just so they can complete it and reward them with their time or whatever it is. And I tried filling it up to where things
It's pretty
take.
fair. Seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and I think that when kids do not complete their tasks or their chores or their jobs,
Yeah.
and kids are smart. They know what they're giving them, how long it's going to take. Either way, they're complaining about, I'm tired, or it's going to take all day. Like, if you give them something like that could literally take 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you get the rest of the day to yourself, like, they give you permission to get on top of them about how that's not responsible. You made the wrong choice. Hey, what are you doing with your time?
So if they don't finish it, what's the consequence? Because that's always the thing, right? Like a command or a task without consequence is just a suggestion. So what's the consequence?
The consequence is now you give the kids actually give the parents the ability to say, you're not responsible, you're wasting time. Hey, what are you doing with your time? Like, where are you spending all your time? It would have took you 30 minutes and you had the entire day to kind of enjoy your summer. It would have taken you 30 minutes. Like, so what is the games doing to you? What is the internet doing to you? See what's happening? And from my experience with my kids and kids that we work with is like, if you give them these short tasks, one of two things is going to happen. You are going to start to see that they start to get some of the things done, and you'll start to build up some responsibility. And actually you can add on to that. And they prove to you, oh, they can do these tasks, they can get it done properly, sure. And you slowly add on to it, and they give you permission to raise the expectations on the bar of what responsibility looks like. Or now they give you the permission to say, see what the games are doing to you? You're on the internet all day, or you're on the tablet all day.
So your kids are playing games?
Not all day, no.
So, couldn't you just take the games away?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's what, or change the internet password.
Yeah. And
Dude,
you know what?
If you just change the internet password. I actually saw this meme, it was this reel, and it was to your point. Oh, I didn't mean to. To your point, it was when the tasks were done, like mom went to work and she's like, I need these tasks done. When I get picture proof dated today, I'll give you the internet password for the day so that they could play their game.
That's reasonable.
I think it was tongue in cheek, but it was funny.
That is reasonable.
I mean, there is now listen, you didn't grow up with video games though.
I did.
You didn't. There's no you didn't grow up with video games like
Atari.
That's like an arcade.
I was playing in arcades.
Yeah, that's like an arcade. Like there is community in video games. There is community in video games. You play any video games, Coach Keanu?
Games kind of. Hey, we can hear me now.
Yeah.
When I play video games, I feel like very unproductive, and it makes me feel very guilty. So I kind of try to keep that to like once or twice a year, and only with friends.
Once or twice a year.
Yeah, I'll have like a sleepover with a buddy or something. It sounds so terrible at my age, but I'll have like a slumber party, and then we'll just game like a new game until the early hours, and then I'm like, this is out of my system for the next 12 months.
Wow. Well, that's a lot. Yeah.
So why, I'm curious to know, why do you feel guilty when you play video games?
Sorry, guys. I'm like monitoring like three different audio chains. No. I believe your question was, why do I feel guilty?
Yeah.
I just want to be as productive as possible with my time. And when I play video games, I just notice how time doesn't exist. And then like 2-3 hours will go by. And if I'm alone just eating like Doritos, and I'm like, this is not good. This is too easy. This is too fun. I'm going to probably decay here happily. And my brain has some sort of built-in trigger to go, you should get up. You should go. And so I try to fight that as much as I can. But when I do it with friends, if I can schedule that time, like we're going to hang out, we're going to just do this one game, like let's say GTA 6 drops.
Yeah.
I know when GTA 6 drops, I'm getting that, I'm spending that night with a friend, and we're going to game for like 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to socialize with that buddy. I'm going to catch up. We're probably going to put the volume down and just speak the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's that community thing,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
can get that out of my system.
So we got to get another camera here, so we can get.
Oh, it's all good. It's all about you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can introduce Keanu next time.
He-
So listen, I will say this.
Yeah.
I hate and despise when my kids were at times playing on community video games and they were like with anybody out there.
Yeah.
You don't know who they are. You know what they're saying. Even if they were older and they were callous to like.
Those chat rooms are rowdy. Bro.
Yeah.
they're rowdy.
But I will say this: if and this happened at Metro, guys, and I think for a short amount of time, there were like gaming times for the jiu-jitsu athlete kids, because you're a parent, you do not want your son on.
What happened at Metro? Hang on, wait.
We had groups of jiu-jitsu kids that were actually getting online and gaming together.
Oh, that's cool.
So what happens? Mom would ask, I would ask, who are you talking to? Oh, I was talking to Jackson. Oh, I was talking to Landon. Oh,
Okay.
I'm on here. I know the coach. I know the dad.
Yeah.
I know the structure of that kid. That's not a kid who's going to be on for hours and hours and hours. So
yeah.
I think that to the community,
Yeah.
if you know the structure of the other kid, that I found was very powerful, because the kid, I know the kid's parents, and they're not going to allow them to be on all the time. So, little Landon might not be able to be on for more than like a couple hours.
Yeah.
So if I hear he's on with Landon, I know it's not going to last all day.
Yeah, that's tricky when you get community play, like that's tough because it's like the power of peer pressure, like one more game, I'm not getting off, you're not getting out, so thankfully they don't have community play yet. They don't have online play. They don't really play games so much as they watch like cartoons a lot. I think there is, if you're intentional with, I don't know, man. I mean, I could see both sides. I can see both sides of, there's a social aspect. I'm totally cool with kids playing outside socially together. I'm totally cool with, family events, going to places, events or destinations, the zoo, the village, the whatever. I'm trying to, they seem to have no interest in it, but I'm trying to get them more into sports, sporting, I should say, fishing, hunting. They say right now they have no interest in it. They think it's gross. They think like the mud and water is gross, which it is. Fish guts are gross.
Before we just move on from that, Coach, I will say that the reason why we brought this up is because summertime is here. Kids are going to have a ton of downtime. And this summer for parents and kids is going to be the time when the confidence drops, the emotional development is stagnant or it declines, the ADHD is formed, and where sickness infiltrates their brain, laziness infiltrates their brain, because they have so much free time all throughout the summer. And if parents just have to, they have to recognize that this is the time, this is the breeding ground for viruses of inactivity and decline and mental capacity, communication. This is when it happens, and we take it into the school, and then we say, hey, we're having all these trouble at schools. We're having trouble with a bully. We're having trouble with kids or teachers, or they're yelling at them, or kids, kids yelling at them. This is where your kids get weaker. And not only do they not develop, they decline emotionally and socially going into the year.
How do you but practically, like you and Nancy you're blessed to like make your own schedule. You can work from home. What do you do with both parents? They have to go. They have to actually go to work. Like that's, because I know that someone's, and I know like you're like I'm flipping a coin here, but like
that is bullshit.
Okay.
That is bullshit.
Okay. All right.
Let me tell you why.
So both parents have to go. You got dads going downtown, mom's got to be in Novi, and they're 10-year-olds at home.
Okay.
Like what would you? What
I'm going to
advice
tell
would
you why.
give? Okay.
I will tell you why.
I'm listening.
Because I'm self-employed does not mean by any stretch that I have more time than a mom who works during the day and then a dad who works at night, and they see each other passing by, and we hear it all the time.
Sure.
So I have the same challenges with my wife and my house as any working parents, single parent, other parent, and I work for my kids, and I work to kind of lead by example and provide for them. So we have the same issues. Just because we're self-employed doesn't mean, oh, you own your own business, you can do what you want, and
Well, the practical schedule. I mean, like, I'm just practically the practical schedule is like, I remember hanging doors, bro. If I wasn't there at 8 a.m., like, I would hear about it. Like, I would hear about it. So having to be there at somewhere, and then you can set the expectation, but the bottom line, the kid's home alone. If he's not at like a camp somewhere, the kid's home alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
The kid's home alone. So.
I agree.
So what's the practical advice for that? Well, what advice? Like, you just give them the list that they have to complete for that?
Listen, kids should not be home alone. Like, they just absolutely should not. It is a problem waiting to happen. It's a problem. They should not be home alone. Sometimes they just have to do it. Like, we have worked with so many families in the downriver area, in the Westland area. We will not let money get in the way of somebody needing something for their children, that's involved in their kids, that's a dialed-in parent. Obviously, we get the calls that say, how much is it? I don't care about anything else.
Yeah,
that's one type of parent.
We do get those.
Yeah, but the parent who really cares about their kids and expressing it, what they've done, what they're doing, what they do for work, their schedule, sometimes the math doesn't add up. And obviously, for our Metro Summer Camp, when we run into that type of parent, mom, dad, or family, like, we're not going to let money get in the way of that.
Yeah.
Like, we want to serve the community, and you have to, like, be proactive. Get them out of the house. If it's not Metro Summer Camp, like, they have to have a task. If they don't, we're going to have problems. They're going to have problems.
The hardest thing I've ever done in my life is parent. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Because you know why? Like, anything else, it's pretty, like, you get pretty immediate feedback,
Yeah.
Like, you get, like, we make an ad, hypothetically, that gets us in a lot of hot water, hypothetically, like, you're going to get that feedback week one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, some kids, there's always a question, like, is this going to come back? Are they going to be in, the whole fear of, like, they won't talk to you in 20 years. One, it's just not, it's unvalidated, but, like, are they going to be in therapy 20 years talking about how something I did now, I didn't even realize the mistake I was making and how it's going to affect them in 20 years. To that point, though, like, my parents are far from perfect. All parents are far from perfect.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where that maturity comes in of, I've gotten in fights with my siblings over this. I was like, they did I don't believe they were maliciously trying to. There was never a day in my parents' life where I'm like, I'm gonna fuck David up today. Like, that's my goal, is I'm gonna make his existence as miserable as possible. That never once did that thought go through their head, right? They thought they were doing the best they could with the tools that they had and the resources they had at their disposal at that time. Do I think that they could have done things different? Yeah, sure. Was I strong enough to come out of it in spite of all of that? Thankfully, yeah. Yeah, thankfully, yeah. Is every parent do it? I believe that's true for every parent. No, there are some really evil people out there with really twisted, mindsets, right? They're criminals, but it's not by and large not the majority of parents, And it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it never ends either, right? Like, they're not. They will always be your children. You're talking to you before this podcast. You're talking to your mom. Like, you talk to her probably every day. But, like, like, you're still probably little Muhammad to her in her eyes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they never stop. They never stop being your kids, man. So it's tricky. It's tricky.
Do we? Do we have any open spots for camp? And how are we looking?
I don't know. It depends who the parent is. It depends who calls. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got South, Canton, Southgate, Livonia started this week. I already once, I've had more conversations with the parents that we talked about. I had a conversation with a parent.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt, guys. There was a message that said time-sensitive sales team stand-up Zoom today at 12 p.m. It is currently 11:48 a.m. I don't know if you want to be notified about that.
Was that a
It's
notification?
a calendar notification.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can ignore that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all you need to know.
Yeah, it's a recommendation. Yeah. So there was a so there's an incident this week that happened, and something small. 5-year-olds talked to my mom's very upset. My daughter said this, saw this. I said, Well, I got 2 coaches who said that didn't happen. Well, where else would she come up with this story? Ma'am, I don't know. She's fucking 5 years old. Maybe that's where she came up with that story. Maybe that's where. I will not, and I pretty much had to tell. The fact that I had to explain to her why I'm trusting the word of 2 of my background checked CPR certified adult trained coaches over her 5-year-old blew her mind. I was like, well, what? Just so we're clear, you were trusting your 5-year-old over my coach. I just need to make sure. Well, where else would she hear this or come up with this story? Ma'am, I don't know. She's not my kid. I don't even know her. That's a great question, but what I can tell you is her word wouldn't hold up in court. Period. It's one thing if there was no coaches in the room. Even if there's only one coach, I'm trusting my coach over your kid. Period.
Yeah, we have have cameras all over our campsites for gold diggers.
There was gold diggers.
What do you call them? Ambulance chasers.
Yeah. Just looking for suits. Yeah. So, but the fact that I had to have that conversation was crazy to her. She was when I say speechless, she had no recourse. Right.
Yeah.
We got over. I mean, I handled it respectfully. It was, I'm kind of being direct here, but I handled it respectfully. I heard her. I'm like, listen, I get it, but same thing with Landon. Landon comes home with that outlandish story. My first thing is did you tell a coach? Yeah. All right. Are you dead? Did you die?
Well, I'm going to tell you one of the things that separates Metro Summer Camp from every other camp.
David and Muhammad, probably.
I'm going to tell you what separates us from every other camp. Forget about we're way below the state minimum. State minimum says you can have 20 kids running around with one.
25 to 1, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
Is it
nuts.
25?
It's 25 in Michigan, yeah.
Oh, my God.
25.
Well, I'm going to tell you what separates us. So... number one, we are diverse in our kids, and I think people would expect that. We have different races, different cultures, different religions. The campers are very, very diverse, different cultural backgrounds.
Sure.
So a couple years ago, there was an African-American girl wearing a shirt. I think it was African-American Heritage Month, right? And you stepping away?
Do we have any comments? I'm curious. Do you know how to see that?
Yeah, I've actually been.
Okay,
I've been popping up comments for people to answer.
I get. Yeah.
I have a comment up right now that says, "Ask the coaches a question." So I'm just waiting for someone to take the bait.
So they can go ahead and ask, but I'm gonna just finish this on for parents or anybody watching. What separates us from everybody else is number one. We're a martial arts facility. So you have a martial arts culture and you have martial arts leadership communicating and training all of the staff. So this little girl was wearing an African-American Heritage Month shirt, and she was very proud of it.
Sure.
So we had another girl who was a white girl that said, "Your shirt is ugly." That's I hate.
This was at camp.
This was a couple years ago.
I didn't hear about this one.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago. So what line did the kid cross?
Well, I'm gonna guess that they were younger.
So they were younger,
Yeah.
and that was a moment where we got to talk to the little girl and educate her about our diversity and what the shirt meant to her. And it probably went over her head, but it was just not a nice thing to
She
say.
doesn't know what she's saying.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
doesn't,
It wasn't.
she's looking at the design.
It
of the
wasn't a nice thing to say. So
Yeah.
that's the lesson there.
Sure.
So we had one more incident, and I think this was like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
where some little kid made a racial slur.
Yeah, that was our first year. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one I remember. Yeah.
So you know what? So what separates us? That doesn't come from the kid. That comes from the parents. And obviously, I think you end up releasing that family, but.
Well, we didn't release the kid, but we got both parents in the same, because I can't fault the 6-year-old if he's repeating what he's hearing at home.
Exactly.
Right? So we got both parents in the room, and one set was very upset, and the other, they didn't, they're like, I don't know where you heard it. I was like, well, he heard it from somewhere. So
Yeah, well, it's obvious they're going to pick it up from either the internet or somewhere at home. But like, what separates us? That caused intervention.
Sure.
And we can't, we can tell the kid all day that's wrong, it's not nice, and you made him feel this way, and it's, but we had to bring the parents in and talk to the parents about that.
Sure.
But so those are some things on how we address them, and there's different lessons for the kids to learn, and sometimes the lesson belongs to the parents.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what separates us from other camps. And again, the martial arts that we teach the kids during camp.
I think a lot of times, and it's a double-edged sword. Like we always take things. This is, we've run things how, as respectfully as possible. I don't need parents to enroll who aren't with the program. If you're treating us as a service and just this entitled attitude, and you run the show, man, go anywhere else. Go anywhere else. But if you're and every year it's training the parents. I need your support in the discipline process, right? If your kid's a jerk, we discipline him, we write him up, and you're like, well, Coach David doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not helping the situation. Okay, period. That's not helping the situation. If you think the leadership habits are dumb and you're not going to help reinforce those, that's not helping the situation. If you're not actively looking for ways to inject things like think, win, win, or begin with the end in mind, or sharpen the saw, or synergize, or find your voice, if you're not actively, if you don't know the habits, then how can you expect the kids to? And also I'll add, I think parents are always if I get on the phone. If you're on the phone with me, one of two things: either it's a very serious incident, or you have exasperated my directors, and now Dad's got to get involved, and I'm kind of pissed about it. So I'm not gonna hear I'll hear you, and then I'll tell you our policy, and that will kind of be the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna educate you on how we handle things. Really soon, buddy. Yep.
It's way past.
You're right. We're gonna get Chick-fil-A here in a few, buddy. I promise. We're almost done. Okay. All right. You're being very patient. Thank you.
Yeah, just you guys are officially over the hour mark.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I would say on that note, Coach, that for the parents who they are very in tune and dialed into
Yeah,
what
sure.
their kids do and where they go for the summer, and they're following up on what did you do today, who did you sit with, who did you sit next to, tell me specifically about the arts and crafts, tell me specifically about the sports, what did you do, they are checking in with them. Then you're going to love this camp because you're going to hear firsthand of specifically what we did and what the coaches were trying to do.
Sure.
And I will say for the parents who just need somebody, need a place because they're very busy working.
Sure.
There's a place for you at Metro Summer Camp because you kind of got lucky.
Yeah.
You kind of got lucky. You might not have the time to really follow up and check in with your kids, but you're going to see a difference in your kids in summer camp because it's very structured and we eat up so much time. 60 to 90 minutes, we're moving from one activity to another. Yeah. There's multiple options throughout the camp for kids to choose from and for the directors to choose from.
Yeah.
It's all about we have our own goals and camp counselors and directors are like high level. They're top notch.
Yeah.
And they have options in every category, in every
Yeah.
sport, and every function to choose from if they're not achieving their
And
goal.
Nancy did a great job.
Yeah.
Well, one, we have a lot of returning coaches.
Yeah.
Which just makes things so much better. But two, she's got like med students and
Yeah, we have behavioral health on staff.
Yeah.
We have kids that are going into college for like for collegiate, for soccer.
Sure,
We have
yeah.
somebody who's playing professional in a professional soccer game that's actually coaching your kids.
good for them. Yeah.
Like imagine what kind of like foot skills and drills that they were teaching versus someone who's never kicked the ball before.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool things on the camp, and don't keep your kids at home.
Yeah.
Don't keep your kids at home. Like it's
And if you do, make sure they're not on the chat with Mo's kids, because you're gonna hear about it, dog. That's a fact. It was really fun. So then, I've been toying with the idea of getting a Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter arcade in here. Did that get vetoed then? Would that be frowned upon?
I mean,
just to put in the lobby, like an old retro arcade. Do you ever play those?
I mean, I would be okay with putting a foosball machine in there, not
A
no.
foosball
Yeah.
machine.
Are you familiar with foosball, Keanu? Is that a South African thing too?
I get really into foosball, but I love pool. So if we get a pool table here,
Billiards. Oh,
dude, that'd
man.
be something.
Do you know how to play foosball?
I love foosball. Love foosball.
Really?
I get very competitive in it.
I'm a local foosball champion, by the way.
You're like a legit national league or
Well,
Like in his
Self-proclaimed.
between him and his boys, yeah, and
I'm,
Southwest, he's a
I would
Southwest
say,
champion.
I would say I was probably ranked in the top 10 in the state of Michigan because I played all over. I played at our arcade, Southwest. We'd go down to Southwest. I'd play the Hispanics. I'd go downriver and play the white guys over there. And I would rank
when was
myself
this?
in the
Like what
top
period
10.
in time was this?
1985.
Did I
right,
imagine
right
you with like a perm?
I got smoked a couple times. I've also played in tournaments in Texas and New Mexico, like when foosball was hot. So
Wow, I'm actually kind of taken aback by that.
yeah, we have to
Nice.
go out sometime and play. What questions do we have?
So no one's taken any bites. The last comment we got was from Alan Kropp, and he said hypothetically, but to one statement you guys made.
Yeah.
But because of the latency, I'm not quite sure what he was referring to.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
he just said hypothetically.
Oh, he's talking about the ad.
But I have a little pop-up right now that says ask the coaches a question, and then I've also mentioned in Facebook, I'm like, guys, come on, ask some questions.
Yeah. So it depends.
Yeah.
Depends on the
Most
topic.
people are at work and playing us in the background, but
That is true. Well, I appreciate you on command, Coach Keanu. Sounds like everything went better. It's brick by brick with this studio, man. But I appreciate you guys. I do actually, on the topic of summer camp, I gotta get Canton all ready for their first day on Monday. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing, is putting tables together, running the store, final touches and whatnot. So if you guys fill out, you can go to any of our website, metrosummercamp.com, comment below. We've got Coach Sam and them answering questions.
we need to get a
know.
link for this so I could send it to
Yeah.
a few of the parents that are looking into camp for their kids this year.
Metro Summer Camp is
You did get a text from Amanda saying Chick-fil-A may be delivered.
Chick-fil-A may be delivered. Let's see. Chick-fil-A may be delivered. Don't forget, you need to wait for snack. Oh, well, I'm not gonna check.
Was
my
I
text
included
log.
in that order?
No, I don't know what that means. The Chick-fil-A may be delivered. So does that mean it's possible that Chick-fil-A delivers?
That-
or does that mean that it's
I'll tell you what that
maybe
means.
delivered? What does that mean?
If you're
The
not,
English language. How hard is it, right?
I will
Keanu?
tell you, if you are not married, that statement is the epitome of what it's like to be married.
Yeah. well,
Sometimes
what does that mean?
you just don't understand.
Just guess. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and log off, guys.
But before we bounce, Chris Scaberas?
Yeah.
Scaberas
he's a
says,
member-
hello guys,
member
good to
here-
see you.
Member here at Westland.
What's up,
Yeah.
Chris? How are you?
Yeah, he's a member here at Westland. So he
Thanks for
is.
chiming in.
Yeah, he's an example of a guy that when he joined here, he was just in between jobs, and I'm like, he really needed jiu-jitsu, and I was like, dude, all right, he was the one I was telling you about, where I was like, my man, listen, okay, I'll give you 30 days, just train, but you better just update me on your job status, of these 30 days. And, because I think he was doing like DoorDash or something. And I was like, that's not going to cut it, bro. Like, that's not a job. Like, it's a side hustle at best. Like,
Yeah.
if it DoorDash is great. DoorDash is great if you're like a recovering alcoholic and you're like, I need something to not go out and get drunk, but I need something productive to do. Like, that's great because it's keeping you from something. It's not a full-time income, right? And so, yep. And now he's got a great gig, like 45 hours. He's in Ann Arbor, and
Good for him.
Yeah, he's training now, and he's a hard worker, man. Yeah, he's a really hard worker. So,
And those Door Dashes, they're good for people who are not lazy, that have a job.
it's hard work, but it's little money,
and they want to fill in with their time, so they're just not lazy until they find something else, like Chris. So,
Yeah.
There's a good place for people, and everybody who's doing that. If that's your ultimate end income, it might be a little bit challenging with the economy
For sure.
and things, but good for him. He started there and he moved on. That's awesome.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you tuning in. Ask us any questions on the replay if you're watching it, and we'll get to them. We'll answer them. As always, we'll see you
On the mats.
My kids are gonna be freaking out, dude.
We're still live. Hold on.
Okay, we're still live.
Oh, you don't know? Yeah.
Click finish,
Yeah.
right? End broadcast.
Hit end broadcast.